head needs to be cut out. My client called me and said, which head is going to roll? And the first is the architect. Whose fault? Why the column is here? The design that you do for planning are diagrams. You cannot build with that. I have no idea how many times I get projects and then they cut us at planning permission. Oh, we don't need you anymore. We can build with this. I said, well, okay, good luck.
Two friends who have lost their license, both of them work in construction because of the 20 miles per hour rules.
Luckily, London has an amazing infrastructure. More taxes for cars, more fines. London makes 1 billion a year in fines. I get fines, like half a budget just for fines per month.
What happens when architects design a beautiful concept but doesn't understand how it actually is built?
The builder delays because the builders don't understand how to build it. Maybe there are not the right specifications. Builders price what they can understand. I always say, if it is for conceptual purposes, it's fine. But if you want to push this to construction, we will put notes in our project. We are not responsible for this survey. It could ruin the whole thing and compromise the structure.
Should an architect do what the client wants, or should the architect tell the client what to do? The architect is not just doing what I want, because the architect says, I also want to do what I want to do. So today's guest, we have Armando Elias, and he's been driving craft design. I know you personally because we worked together, and I know you from property networking events long time ago, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. So
probably, yes.
Yeah. And you were actually the first person that I did an interview with after the lockdown when things opened up.
To the 12 people always liking my post, y'all want anything from the gas station?
Armando runs a London-based architectural design studio that treats residential projects like one-of-a-kind pieces. He graduated with honors from Central University of Venezuela, so he's from Venezuela.
That's correct.
And moved to London and earned his master's from the Prestige Architectural Association. He has been working at global heavyweights like Foster Plus Partners, Arup, and Woods Bagot before deciding to create his own path. And he started Craft Design Limited in 2012, making this now the 14th year. Since that time, he's been changing how people are living, because that's what you do as an architect.
That's correct. It's a service.
Yeah. And since then, he has delivered over 120 projects, and I'm not sure how accurate is this information.
Probably much more.
Much more now already.
Documented,
that's all the information.
We documented to 120 approximately, yeah. A bit more than 120.
Yeah. And projects like bespoke homes to micro-living spaces like the famous Camden Loft. I was amazed about the design and how you utilize the space.
That was a life-changing project, I have to say.
Yeah, I would definitely want to live there. I mean, it's a really cool idea.
It is a nice place to live. Yeah, I actually lived there for a bit.
Ah, good.
Yes, yeah, I lived there for a bit. It was like it was an investment, and it was kind of my first ventures in one of my first venture in property development.
An architect who believes in concept, material, and construction are all completely inseparable. But he doesn't just look for buildings for inspiration, but he also looks for sleek lines of classic cars, the mechanics of motorbikes, and the composition of photography that we just now spoke before this podcast started. Can I share that?
Share, please.
Yeah, so Armando actually started to take picture of himself every single month on the 6th. To see how he's aging, and he's doing it for 20 years already.
That is correct. It's depressing. It's depressing, yes. 20 years ago, I looked very good, and now I'm just downhill.
So what he said is, don't do it. Don't document.
I mean, it's an interesting exercise, like it's about, it has been, I've done it more from an artistic point of view.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like just to record something that is happening to all of us. But yeah, it has been a crazy journey. To every time that I go through the photographs, it's just like insane. Because, I've changed a lot in the last 20 years.
It shows your creativity.
No, for sure. Like hopefully when I turn 50, I'll put a time lapse and, I'll share it. I'll share it just to show how we do decay, like fruits.
Looking forward. So
it's going to be an interesting one.
In 2 years, the time lapse is being released.
Yes, yeah.
Follow Armando.
Oh, man. Like I sometimes I just go through and I'm bored and like, it's, but it's good. It's good, like it is part of the It's the nature of humanity.
Yeah.
We are all getting old.
Armando, welcome to the show. Welcome
Thank you.
back to the show.
Thank
The
you so
first
much.
one-
Thank you so much for the warm welcome,
Yeah,
the amazing introduction.
The first one was in Soho House, where we just found a quiet corner and we filmed on a phone. But now
Yes.
it's a proper setup, so you were actually
See,
surprised.
wow. Yeah. No, it's actually a very nice setup. Well done,
Yeah.
Peter. Like I'm actually impressed of how nice this place is set up.
So, rapid fire questions.
Shoot it.
Shoot it. Okay. Arup, Foster and Partners, Wood Bagot, or running your own architecture studio, which is harder?
Running my own business it's a constant fight. During those times where I used to work in these big firms, you become like an expert in one thing, whereas in running your own business, you are like an octopus. You need to learn all the trades.
So, what's the most overrated architecture trend in London right now?
Glass, like all this building popping out around the city, pure glass. I think that they're missing a little bit of warm feeling. It is nice when you're inside to see outside, but from the outside, it just looks, like a glass box. We're missing a little bit of spices in the designs now. So I would say glass, a lot of glass, too much glass now.
Name one building material you absolutely refuse to work with.
Plastic, PVC. It looks cheap, very cheap. No cheap materials.
Photography, motorbikes, classic cars. Which one influences your design the most?
All of them, because I think what I like about classic motorbikes, it is that they are timeless and they are handcrafted. Whereas now everything is more like, robots or, there's a bit of, we're missing that touch, that we're missing that care and passion and love for producing things, like something that is handmade. That's why our name is craft, handcrafted, like we do it with, our hands. So my passion and my curiosity with classic cars and classic motorbikes comes from the admiration of things that were done with care and love, and they were designed to last forever. You see things like the Volkswagen Beetle, the Mini, the Porsche 911 or a Land Rover, Defender. Those are cars that they, for some reason, they crack a design code that is difficult to understand, but when you see them, you say, oh, wow, that's a nice thing to see. The same happened with music. If you listen to music from the Beatles or any of, Elvis, they cracked something.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about, these old things. And I feel like with time, we are missing a little bit of that passion and handcraft and, care and love and to develop ideas. Everything's becoming too much technology and, rapid.
Things changing.
Fast,
Yeah.
yes, fast.
Yeah. What is the biggest lie that clients tell to architects at the first meeting?
This is the last change. No more changes. So I think that's the big one, the biggest one. No more changes. This is the last one I promised. I understand that, from a drawing to construction, there are a lot of things that you might not foreseen. But yes, it's just, it's normal that we have changes. But sometimes it's difficult when you are spending a lot of money and investing into a property or in a design. You want to get it right, and if it is not your expertise, obviously there will be changes, and then we pay for it.
Yeah.
So the biggest lie: no more changes. That's it.
Pick one: appearance or functionality to start a project.
Both. It's a balance.
But
It's
if
like
you have to pick one.
if you it's like that's a difficult one, because if you choose form over functionality, it's a nice object to see, but it doesn't work. If you choose functionality over form, then it works, but it's not nice to see. So I need to say both. It need to work. It depends. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it need
it's
to
a
work.
difficult
It need to
one.
work. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think you need a balance.
Describe your famous Camden Loft project in exactly 3 words.
Compact, functional, and nice form.
AI in architecture, a massive threat or an ultimate tool?
Ultimate tool. Like Definitely, it is a tool that we all should take advantage of. It's definitely a good help,
Yeah.
and it's just gonna get better.
What is the ultimate secret of getting planning permission in London?
Patience, patience, and a psychology degree. Psychology degrees, like you need to be very patient. I think the local authorities are going through a very bad time in terms of shortages of staff, backlog of projects. They're not delivering on time. It is yes, you need a lot of patience and chase, follow up, chase, follow up, chase, follow up. I think that's it. A lot of patience and obviously, when you're working on behalf of a client, you need to warn them that the process is not as they say it's going to be. It doesn't take 8 weeks or 13 weeks. It takes much longer. It was not like that before. I see a lot of cracks in the system currently that they need to be improved. And the worst is that there is no one being accountable because at the end of the day, they have the leverage. It's not that you can actually try to complain. They'd say, oh, send a complaint, fill the form, send a complaint. Nothing happens. No one is accountable, but you depend on them. So yes, you need to be very patient, and take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Take a chill pill. A chill pill.
If you weren't an architect, what would you do right now?
I think I would be an artist. I think architecture is a profession that is a very creative profession, but there are a lot of constraints. An architect, to do a building, you need engineers, consultants, suppliers, planning, local authorities. There are a lot of constraints. Whereas if you are a creative person and you are an artist, you just need a canvas and no one is going to tell you what to do. It's the maximum expression of creativity.
You need the freedom.
You need the freedom, yes. I think a lot of creative people, architects, designers, musicians, they, despite the fact that they could be doing something with a lot of constraints, they find the time to do their own thing, which despite the fact that I'm working on my own projects, I also try to find time to do something more creative as well without the craziness of constraints.
I do believe that the limits or even education, it destroys the creativity. And again, where we have lack, which actually expands the creativity. And if you look, for example, poorer countries, they are more creative because they have to survive, and the creativity in lack expands, and in abundance and in frameworks, the creativity diminishes.
Correct. It is interesting that you mentioned this because, I'm from Venezuela, and Venezuela is a country that has gone through very difficult times in the last years.
Yeah, we see that the amount of money, this big amount of money, like you show in piles, can literally buy you a bottle of water. So I have seen, those images.
There are opportunities, and I think Venezuelan people are very creative. And I think due to the current conditions and the last decades, even since I was a teenager, there are plenty of opportunities there, because in those times of crisis is when the opportunities arise. And then people become very creative because maybe you cannot do what you are trained to do, so you need to find your way. So you become an octopus. You find opportunities everywhere. And you go to Venezuela and you see that. And I think that was very important for my formation as a teenager or studying in Venezuela. Like, I came here with that mentality that, I need to look for the opportunities. And if I find an opportunity, I need to find another opportunity and another opportunity and another opportunity, being like an octopus. And then find the ways to expand yourself and learn different traits to, to be able to accommodate more things for yourself.
So that maybe explains also your love for the classic cars and motorbikes, because it gives you a feeling of back home.
When I used to live there, I used to see all these old cars and I didn't understand it. They are, because they're not well preserved. But now when I go back to Venezuela and I see all these old cars, I'm just like, oh wow, I wish I could just restore them all. They're beautiful, beautiful cars.
So talking about that, tell me about the move from Venezuela to London as an architect, how that has impacted your design and your work.
Yeah, I mean, I finished university, and in Venezuela you get crazy opportunities. So my first job as an architect in Venezuela was to design a building in the beach for 150 flats.
Oh, wow.
My first job. Yeah, first job. First job. It was such a great
Is
opportunity.
there no architect? So
No, there are. It's just like there are opportunities, and I together with one of my best friends, we started a business, and then we started doing this building. But during those times, the situation in Venezuela started become a very deteriorated. It became very bad. The crisis started, political issues, social issues. Like it was very bad, and despite the fact that we have our business and we were doing very well, I could see that things were going to get worse, and I had this idea that I should go and study abroad. So I started applying for universities. I applied for a university in Barcelona. I applied for a couple of universities here in London. One was in UCL to do project management, and the other one was in the Architectural Association to do something more related with design. But I needed money to come here, so I had some money, but I also needed some help from my parents. My dad thought I was a bit immature to go and live abroad, and so he didn't want to support me back then. But then one demonstration against the government in Venezuela, it went very bad. A lot of people died. There was shootings. I mean, like one of those crazy things that happened there. And I was there, and it was terrible. My dad was very scared of what happened, and then he said, I think you should leave the country. And that was actually the last push to come here. And I came here and I studied, and then obviously I'm Venezuelan. I had a Venezuelan passport. I came here with a student visa. Then I got my first job. They got my work permit, and then another job, another work permit. I was like that for 10 years. So I was kind of trapped into the corporative world because I needed a visa. So the same day I got my permanent visa, my indefinite leave to remain, that day I resigned. And I said,
wow.
yes, I said, that's it. Now I'm going to do what I need to do. And I said, if I cannot go back home, I better take the opportunity and make it worth. Like I'm not going to waste my time here. So I just literally resigned, and I started looking.
But did you went back home whilst you still had the Venezuelan passport, or only when you get the British citizenship?
So, I mean, this is a different story, but yeah,
because it's a risk of if go there, you may not be coming back.
Yes, I mean the thing is like the whole situation in Venezuela just became very bad, and a lot of people who are living abroad were not offered the opportunity to get new passports. So for almost 10 years, I didn't have a Venezuelan passport, and as I said, that's a different story. But yeah, it wasn't that easy. It took me 10 years to finally get a passport. And then before I could go with the British passport, when I became British citizen, the government changed the law. And if you had double nationality, you had to arrive to Venezuela with the Venezuelan passport and leave with the Venezuelan passport. If you arrive with another passport and you're Venezuelan, they won't let you out, which is what happened to me. They actually stopped me in the airport, and I almost missed my flight because they didn't want to let me out because I was Venezuelan but showing a British passport. So yeah, that was a bit crazy. Those times hopefully are behind.
My wife is from Ukraine,
yes,
so I know how it is when there's challenges in the government and you're restricted how you can travel back home and what you can do.
Yeah. No, so I said nowadays it's better, but still, we are struggling.
Now that you do your own design, craft design, studio architecture, then the question is, what are the big companies getting it wrong?
I think, like only architecture is a profession that it's kind of a social service, or like we try to improve people's life. I think what is happening is like corporative or these big corporations. They are more thinking about profit and money, and how we can make it cheap with cheap materials. They don't care about the long term. Not all of them. There are a lot of great companies doing amazing projects that they will last and they will be timeless, like a 911 or a Mini or like Fiat 500, like I don't know, or a Bonneville Triumph. I remember when I was studying, there was a teacher who told me, when you design a building, you always need to think about the ruins, about the ruins. And it was an interesting thing that I always thought about it because, like obviously when you think about ancient architecture, when you go there and you see it and say, oh, wow, what these people were thinking when they built the pyramids or the Parthenon, or the Colosseum, they are impressive. Only they didn't design them thinking about the ruins, but we want buildings to be there for a very long time and to serve their purpose. And I think what's happening is like, it's okay to make money. We all want to make money, but you shouldn't be greedy enough to compromise something that is as important as, creating spaces for people, your houses or your working spaces or your relaxation spaces or boulevards, streets, master plans, cities, like that. That's what we do.
Yeah, you don't get those buildings like you see in a bank or the old city center of London. You don't see those buildings anymore built.
Yeah.
It's completely different now. Like you mentioned, it's a glass, steel, the same framework.
Like it's difficult to, you don't know which building are you looking at.
Yeah.
And I think London is an interesting city because obviously there's a lot
cost
of history.
is involved, and we can talk about how great would be the design, but then who can afford it, and does that serve the purpose? It would be like the other topic to discuss, like we said, the functionality or the appearance.
Yes,
which is
correct.
like, it's like you cannot really choose.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. It's just like, how can you make a successful project as a developer that it will make you good returns, but it would also look good? And I know that because I've done projects for myself in my journey as a property developer, is that when you are designing your own projects and that you're spending your own money, you know that every time that you want to do something a little bit more creative, you know that it comes with a price tag. And that is a problem. And I have a funny story. I have a very good friend of mine who is a director in Zaha Hadid, a very well-known architectural firm. And then there was a time that Zaha told my friend they bought this office building in the Shah Thames, the design museum actually. And then apparently they were designed. Well, maybe I shouldn't say this, but apparently my friend came with some ideas. Zaha asked my friend to do some proposals for the building, for what was going to be their new headquarters. And then my friend came with some ideas. And Zaha Hadid is a company, it's a design firm that it had changed the architectural world. They're pioneers of forms and technology. And my friend came up with this idea, something very curvy and futuristic. And then she said, "What are you doing? You should design a box. This is for us. We don't have money to pay for this." And I think that's what's happened. It's like there are, I think being an architect, there are very little opportunities when you have a client that comes and say, "I have unlimited budget, do whatever you want." Very rare. It happens sometimes, but it's not the common. The common is like, have a tight budget, but they still, depending on the budget, there's a space to be creative and do something more interesting. But when you're doing your own, I understand the developer's mentality, but I think you shouldn't compromise quality. You shouldn't compromise the quality of the spaces. You shouldn't compromise how people are going to live. You shouldn't compromise in materials. And then that's what is happening. Like a lot of big corporates are doing that.
The previous guest was Jamie from J&J Building Services. So he runs a construction company. He actually said the situation that he comes from the other side, working with architects. He says, yes, the architects were gonna design you a castle, and then you come to the builder, and then the builder gives you a quote, and then the budget is this.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, now the expectation is from what you wanted to live, like, wow, amazing, because the architect were gonna build and get the commission anyway. The builder says, well, but how about building it?
I know.
Is that two sides?
My journey, with my own business, like when we started thinking about just doing design work. And then we realized that once again, this octopus mentality of handling opportunities, we decided to expand and offering different services like construction, project management, procurement, like the whole, everything that, surround the sector, we'll do it. And we learned a lot in the last decade about construction because we do construction. And then I always tell my clients that it's very important to keep your head on the sky, but your foot on the ground. And that's a mentality that I have grown on me in terms of what I've learned in construction and design. What is happening a lot with architects is that they are disconnected completely from the construction process. They are disconnected completely from the costs. They're raising prices, the planning process as well. So when you are working as an architect, you definitely should have knowledge about construction prices. And that's what we try to do. So what you're saying is that a lot of architects come with these great ideas, and when they go to the cost or the evaluation of how much it's going to cost, then they realize that nothing that they have proposed can be built because it's not aligned with their client's budget.
For a client, it's very rewarding when an architect says, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to look amazing. It feels good, but then when you go to a builder, it's like, okay, architect did the job, was feeling great, everything's amazing, but then the client doesn't get to the reality, and then all of a sudden, we need to strip this, we need to strip this. There's a little bit of the frustration and kind of like a disappointment, which then may lead to changing architects. And you may already come across like where some clients come to you because they fell out with the previous architect.
Yes, yeah, correct. That happened all the time.
And that is because of not correctly managed expectations.
Yeah, we built. I spend more time in construction sites than sitting in my computer designing. We are very realistic with the prices. We know how inflation is impacting construction materials. We know the impact that Brexit had on labor. So we are very aware because we built. So we design and we built. And so we are very involved in construction. And yes, we find sometimes we have architects who come to us asking for quotations for building, or they ask us to be project managers. So they come with their project and say, could you build it? But what I'm saying is just important is to keep your head in the sky, dream, but keep your foot on the ground. That's when you disconnect from reality, when you start proposing projects that they are not buildable, they're not feasible, they are completely disaligned with the client's budget. And I think that's one of our strong skills, that we can identify from a very early stage how much things are going to cost and prepare schedule of works and get everything ready for construction in a very early stage of the process. So we help our clients to build their budget, or to prepare their budget. We also, because we also do procurement, we also know how much things cost: finishes, fittings, appliances, all the suppliers chain that supply construction. We are involved in all the stages of the design process, from the moment you buy the property or you buy the plot until the last moment when you sell it or you leave or you rent it, depending on what's the outcome.
To clarify, for those of you who are watching for first time, are not involved in properties every day to day, and maybe that's your first kitchen that you are extending. So what does design and build means? That the company is not only involved in designing, but they are also building and involved in the building. And so if there is disconnect between the design, then we may have a design that realistically may not come to reality because of the costs. But if there is design and build, then these should work together. And realistically, we need to have builders who give you the quotes, because the builders will be those who are going to be building and they will know better the prices. And if you have an architectural company who designs and builds, therefore they'll be able to tailor it to your budget and build accordingly. And that is a strong position. rather than just having a design in one place and then a builder separate company, and then they have to communicate between each other, and then there may be miscommunication, and then things may not align, and then disappointment and anger and frustration can appear. So
Correct. Obviously, the first step of design and build is to get a very good dimensional survey. That's the first step. That's the first step. And talking about that, that's actually true. Like we just started this project that we're working together. Our client fell off with his current architect, and they offer their drawings from the previous architect. And I said, how do you know these drawings are accurate? And they said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, I cannot trust these drawings, especially if we're going to do construction work. Or we either get a proper survey done by a professional, or I won't be able to help you, because I don't want to be responsible for mistakes that for sure will happen if the first stage of the project is not done properly. And the first stage is just to get dimensional survey.
yeah, measure building area. This is where everything starts. And
Yes.
so many people don't understand the whole process, but the process is this. You first need to know what's there, and that's what we from Space Survey do. We capture as it is. And then once the architect knows what's there, what they can do, they can plan what to do, what to design, and how to operate with it. And it's completely different when you are doing a new build or there's just a plot of land, then you just go creative, okay? But when you have to work with the existing structure, there's limitations and there's things that you have to know. And if you get this wrong, yes, you may do it yourself. Someone else can do it for you. Maybe a friend has a laser measurement tool, or maybe a measure tape. Who knows?
Yes.
It's not something that people cannot do. But the thing is, you want to make sure that there is confidence and you can rely on it. That's why laser scanners is the best tool out there, because if ever there is any kind of question or doubt, like you, Armando, can come to us like, Peter, can you check it? I'm not really sure about this. And then we can say, okay, this is the scan data, this is the drawings. And we can say, yeah, it matches, or no, maybe there's some error. Because also in this process, we can make an error because the scan data and the actual drawings is the manual process.
Yes.
And so you were asking just today when the project will going to be delivered. So
Yes.
how it works. We go out there, we capture the data, and that's one day. You travel, you scan, that's one day. But then you have to clean the data because there's a lot of reflections. And then once that is done, you then start working on the 3D model, whether it's 2D drawings or 3D model. And that is physically like, maybe when you were kids, at least I was doing this, on a window, you put a drawing and then you put the paper and then you just trace it.
Yeah.
That means if this is the building which is scanned, then this is how the drawing should look like.
Yeah.
And that means even you not necessarily have to go to site unless you want to. Once you have the scan data, you can then say, okay, let me have a look at this. And this is what it is.
Yes.
That's it.
Sometimes I'm struck about how accurate your drawings are, because part of our work, most of our work actually is just renovating Victorian or Georgian houses that were built 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that you see the walls being straight, in your drawings, they show that they're not. And sometimes it's very annoying when you are designing and you see the line that is slightly, off. And you might think, oh, this is a mistake. No, this is how the wall is, because the accuracy of your surveys are 100%. But you get in the drawings what it is.
We actually have to even get to a place of we average it, because when we have too accurate, it then creates a confusion, because when you go to a planning and then it kind of angles a little bit, maybe a few degrees. And so that's why, unless an architect specifically says that we need to get a precise location of it, we average it to match the 90-degree angles, because if the wall is completely off, we're going to tell you, Armando, this wall is off. What do you want us to do? Follow the real wall, or average it, because otherwise the design we're going to look wanky,
Yeah, of course.
This is the reality. Nothing in reality is perfect.
Yeah, that's for
That's
sure.
just how it is.
That's for sure.
Now back to architecture. Mega architects versus small studios, and how are you standing out from the crowd and winning those bigger clients?
Obviously small firms like mine, we are more boutique we hold our clients' hands.
Yeah, that's
And then-
craft. I
and
mean,
then-
it's not.
Yes, exactly. And we go holding their hands throughout the whole process. Obviously the big companies are more profit oriented, and it's just like, how can we do it quickly, cheap, and like cheap labor. Not all of them, but that's normally the case. We are a small team.
How big is your team?
We are 5 people in our studio, where we learned many years ago that it's always good to travel lightweight, meaning the time that we have grown as a business, it comes with a lot of financial responsibilities. And in a market that has been quite rocky in the last years for many things that has happened, it has been like a perfect storm. We had Brexit, COVID, Ukraine war, Iran war, 10 prime ministers in 2 years. I can't remember. That creates a lot of uncertainty in our business, and you need to be lightweight, ready to adapt. Remember that it's not the most intelligent, it's not the strongest, it's the one that adapts the fastest. That's a Darwin. And that's our mentality. We grow and shrink accordingly. But I think, we try to do at least 10 projects a year.
I think it's a strength. Many people don't understand. They think they need to get everything in house. But if you look at the construction itself, so you have the developer, and you say, or developer, or the construction firm, and you say, "Can you build my house?" They're not gonna do everything, plumbing and electric and plasterboard and painting and everything. They're gonna be people who do painting, people who work with plasters, people who are going to do the plumbing, electrician, people who are going to do the foundation, concrete work, roofers, and so on.
Correct.
Okay, the same situation here. If you have a project, you have the power team, you then stretch out, say, let's go.
Yes.
And you enable everyone and you can execute it. But if you have those overheads and everyone sitting in the office and nothing's happening, it just builds frustration. And then you also have to increase the prices, because although people don't have work to do, you still need to cover their wages from the projects that you take on. And that does not actually make it cost efficient.
Yes.
By having those strategic partnerships enables you to take on larger projects and expand where needed.
That is correct. And while it lasts, because we know that the market, is not consistent. So you need to be ready for those times. And then the more lightweight you are, the best during those times is just to not have any attachments.
You know what the illustration I have in my mind? Like a small boat in the waves goes like, and the big ship, it just goes like, ooh,
yes, exactly.
And it's going the wrong direction, but it cannot move. It goes like,
It is like that. It's crazy that.
And so you're like, let's go, or change here, or let's do that.
No,
okay, let's adjust it.
Yeah, I see more like in a motorbike. You go and escape.
Okay.
You need to be flexible. You need to adapt. And yes, it's not about how big is the team. It's about the quality that you can deliver with the time, the people that you have. And then, there are moments where we need to say, we can't do more work. Let's just focus on what we have. This is enough for us. There's a very cool company that I follow. It's called Cool and Vintage. They restore old Land Rovers. They just do 10 cars a year. So their waiting list is crazy.
The easiest way to ruin a Land Rover is to improve it. We build them slowly because speed leaves fingerprints. The task is to give these cars another 60 years without erasing the first, so they can become old again properly. We approach the work as custodians, not entitled to rewrite what came before us, but responsible for what remains after us. Every decision has to earn its place and still make sense long after we're gone.
Because everyone wants to have their cars restored. But they are so focused into get the 10 cars in such a great standard that they don't care about making more money. So that's what I'm saying, that greediness, how much is enough to be happy and do whatever you love, and then that is the question.
This is
we have that we are thirsty for more and more money and more projects, and then our lives we become slaves of our own
I was
success.
now listening to this audiobook, Money Psychology, really a great insight from there I took from myself as well. What is then the ultimate goal? You earn this much, but then your goal is this, and then you come closer, but then your goal is moving, and then you earn more, and then your goal is moving, and you never achieve the goals. You keep chasing for something, and then you end up burning out, which
Yes.
I burn out myself. And
We
then
all,
I
we all have
realized,
gone through those stages, yes.
and then I realized that actually what is the ultimate goal is to have a freedom of doing what you want, when you want, with who you want. And I'm not talking about sexual.
That's a different podcast.
Traveling with your family when you want, not being restricted to a place or maybe to specific client. Or if I take it, if I don't take it, if I don't take it, then I lose, then I don't have work. And have those friends around you, or maybe family or kids or relatives, because
Yeah.
that eventually is the life quality. What amount or what would gonna get you to that place that would enable you to have that freedom? This is what we talked about, the creativity, where you need to have the freedom to flourish. And I do believe that people need to have the freedom, but that's also financial freedom. But you also said about, like having the vision bigger than actually the finance, yeah, which the architects design and then the finance doesn't allow to build. And then that's the two contradicting sides. I was playing myself in life too small for too long, yeah.
Based on what?
Being in relationships, I was single for too long,
Mm-hmm.
and in the business as well. When I was doing Space Photo, so Space Photo is the marketing company, Space Service is surveying, and I was just playing too small, and I did not had a higher standard. So now I'm trying to raise the standard and stretch myself a little bit, but then again, not to a place of where it is over the top. I remember when I came to London, I was living with a friend together, sharing one bedroom flat, living in the same room, so two single beds, and sharing the flat. He moved out. He started to live with his girlfriend, and then I was still renting a rooms. Yeah, so this was his standard, but he couldn't really afford it, so he was stretching himself thin, and his life quality kind of dropped because he couldn't afford to buy things, travel, and anything. He was just living in a flat. Yeah, but when I was living in the room and I was kind of feeling happy, I was like traveling around and doing the things and kind of enjoying more of life, because all I just needed is just to be at home and to go
Yeah.
for sleep. That's what I'm saying. I was like too long just sitting in like renting rooms. Yes, we have to dream. Yes, we have to chase something. Yes, we have to go somewhere, because that gives the energy and drive, and that just makes the life more interesting. But also we have to do it at the level of our affordability. So my goal is that this is where I'm striving, but I'm living based on my means. Because the opposite side of my friend was, this is his standard, this is his means, and then all of the money goes in his clothing, like brand clothing, t-shirt for £200, when he's worried about who is spending how much toilet paper. It doesn't make sense. And I said, but then the opposite as well. So we have to know like what is the budget, but then we also have to have something that drives us, the vision. And so that's my downside.
Part of the process. You had to go through that to learn to get where you are now. Without passing that stage, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be where you are now with the vision that you have currently.
Yeah.
You had to go through that. You need to
Yeah.
fail.
I didn't have a vision for work, because when I started myself, I was like, my goal was like, I just want to do something else rather than working in those restaurants. And that's how I
Yeah.
started. Back to the topic. Why do so many UK developments look so cheap?
Well,
Yeah, disposable.
Once
How
again,
to fix it?
how you fix it? Once again, you put profit over quality, and then it's more profit oriented. It is not, like I a few years ago I did we were trying to do some business in Manchester, and we went to visit a lot of neighborhoods over there, and a lot of properties that we went to visit that they had some kind of potential. They probably were more profitable than opportunities to create great architecture. And I remember saying to my business partner back then that, like, I don't like it. I don't like these places because there is no. I don't think we can do much architecturally speaking. I said, yeah, but you need to leave your emotions aside and focus most in the business. But I can't. I think for me, they need to go together. I want to be proud of the things that I do. And if I can make money with that, it's fantastic. But what I cannot do is just for the sake of make money, do something that I'm not going to be proud of.
A big topic as well to discuss that some developers or clients say, look, the architect is not just doing what I want, because the architect says, I also want to do what I want to do.
Yes.
But then the question is, who is the client? And then should an architect do what the client wants, or should the architect tell the client what to do?
I think our job is just to guide our clients to accomplish their vision. Like the house is not for me. I need to convince them that what I think they should do is what they should do. But at the end of the day, they're going to live there, and each head is a different world. So it's like it's not that I'm going to impose my ideas over their dreams.
I had an interior designer who got really offended. And then I just asked, like, can you change these things, or can you do a little bit different, or can we do something? And then they got offended, but it wasn't like I was rude. I was just asking, like, can we change it? But then the interior designer took it too personal, and then eventually we stopped working. And for me, it was like, yes, but I'm not asking you to do it for free, and I'm paying you money. And if you can just create this design elements and this, so I can then give it to the builders so they can build it. But then now all of a sudden I need to find someone else, and I found it a little bit frustrating.
I think like sometimes you hit their ego, like sometimes you put a lot of the design process takes time. Sometimes
for me it was too creative.
That's fine. I think it's like I understand why people get frustrated. You shouldn't get it personal, because at the end of the day, it's not personal. It's your vision, what she is trying to achieve.
She gave a good base on which we built on, and we executed, let's say, 80% of it. But there was things that I needed to change.
Kill your ego. Kill it.
Yeah.
Like we're servants. We're trying to offer, like I'm trying to accomplish your vision.
I learned that in my business as well. It's like sometimes people come with like, oh, what is this, what is that? And it's like, okay, calm down. We are solving it.
Take a chill
I think everyone needs to start their business. I recommend everyone, because that teaches you to deal with your emotions, like manage other people's emotions, and in general, it just like helps you to become a better grown-up person. Because when I was working for someone in a company, like you just like people do whatever they want emotionally, but when you literally want to make this work, like you have to work with those emotions. And that's the same in relationships. Like I'm now married, so you have to work. You kind of go like, no, this is how it is. You work with it.
Yeah, I think, you shouldn't take, like it's just a feedback from a client. You shouldn't take it personal. Like sometimes you come with these ideas and the clients don't like it. It's just as simple as that. And that's why the creative process might take long time and is not well paid, because all these changes or that sometimes you can create 4 or 5 different ideas. You're trying to hit a target.
What is the most challenging architectural project that you have done?
Many, but I think since we started designing and building, there was a stage where we were learning how to do it, and then we ran out of money building the project, and we ended up building it with our own hands. So we had to finish it with our own hands, and that was very challenging. It was very hard. We had people in the office working, and
you on the site with
my
a shovel.
business and partner and I, and sometimes we used to bring one of the architects that used to work with us on site to help us, because like it is part of the process. You are learning how to create a quotation, how to estimate prices, and we got it wrong. And then in the middle of the construction site, we ran out of money. But we are very committed. We were not going to bend and tell our clients, like, we spent all your money and the project is not ready. Hands on. We just basically put our builder's hat, went on site. It took us forever. It wasn't a happy ending, but we delivered as much as we could with the failure that we went through. Yes, it was very challenging. And once again, it's part of the process that you learn, a bit of finance, a bit of project management, a bit of construction, a bit of
And that's how you get into product management.
exactly.
Sometimes this is just a expensive education. That's all it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But like sometimes you feel like that's why it's always great to have a mentor, to work with someone who has done it, who has achieved what you're looking for, and they can guide you. But sometimes you don't have that opportunity, and I think we didn't. We have learned by our own way and failing and getting up and trying again and failing again, and
Very important, especially
and
when
we keep
when
failing. It's not that now we are perfect, but only now with more experience, more white hair, forehead bigger, less hair.
Especially when the amount is big, it's so important to have someone who can guide you. Yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
smaller things you can fail and learn from mistakes, but it's
Yeah.
much difficult to recover from those mistakes when the
Yes.
amount is hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah. No, I mean, luckily that was in a very early stage of our company, and then we learned, because we went from that transition to from being architects to build, and then we were trying a different trade, and then we thought we were a construction company, and we weren't. But we ended up learning a lot. I mean, there is something very rewarding about designing something and then seeing it built. But it's even more rewarding is that the thing that you designed, you build it with your own hands.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Camden Loft. It's hand built.
What is the harsh truth about the construction prices now in 2026?
Labor has kind of remained similar. Obviously the prices have gone up for sure. Labor is expensive, especially in London. But the construction materials inflation is just 30-40% from one year to another one, and finishes also have gone up a lot of price. Now obviously you have the Iran war, and then petrol prices have gone up, inflation goes up, interest rates go up, and then the difficulties to bring materials when everything started getting very bad from when Russia invaded Ukraine. That's the first war that actually brought a lot of inflation in terms of material. A lot of things were built in Ukraine. Back then I had a business, a side business. We were selling toys. We had like a toys website, selling toys online, and a lot of our manufacturers were in Ukraine. And then all of a sudden the war started, and like all our suppliers had to move to Poland, or they shut down, and and therefore there's less offer. The demand is there, prices go up, but prices from last year, and we built at least 10 projects a year, and we can see how the prices have gone up like 30-40% just in materials. And then the cost of living is more expensive, the minimum wage goes up, all the traders are charging more money. So yes, I think we're up every year.
How far this can go, because where does the homeowner gets the money? Because the prices keep going up, but that doesn't mean that the homeowner's getting more income. And then the question is, where does that stop?
Peace. Like to be honest, I don't know. Yes, it is. It becomes less affordable.
Yeah,
of course.
So less people will build. The less
Yes.
affordable it is, the less people will
no,
build.
correct,
So therefore,
correct.
slower economics.
Yeah. I was talking with a contractor this morning, and he was telling me, like, it's crazy. Things that I used to buy last year, now they are 1/3 more expensive, with no reason.
In construction, quality versus cost. What is the real difference between £3,000 renovation over £1 million renovation?
Finishes. Labor will be always the same. You can do a project for £300,000 of, let's say 100 square meters, and you can spend this £1 million in that 100 square meters as well. The labor will be the same in terms of cost. What it makes different is the finishes. Like, for example, let's say that you can buy a kitchen for £10,000-15,000 in IKEA, or you can go to a high-end, luxurious kitchen supplier and then spend £250,000 just in a kitchen. Also, the design is a key factor. It's like when I work with clients and they tell me our budget is £300,000, because we are very aware of how much things cost and how much labor costs. We are very aware what we can design. But when we are working with clients that have, more generous budget, then we are in a better position to be more creative or specify more expensive finishes. Once we were doing a project here in Clerkenwell, 40 square meters, 40 square meters studio flat. Our client, he was from England, and his wife was Japanese, so he had this obsession about Japanese architecture. And 40 square meters, and he wanted to spend £500,000 in the renovation. And then we got like materials coming from Japan, rice paper doors, 500,000, like kitchen
Crazy.
island that would come from the walls, like a bath that came from Japan that cost £80,000. Like crazy. So what I'm saying is, like, it depends.
Does that reflect in the property price after?
No, and he knows that. A lot of people don't care because that's their house, and they're willing to spend any amount of money because they're not doing it for business.
Yes.
If you have a business mind and then you say, well, this is an investment, in 20 years I'm going to sell, or in 10 years, or maybe it's going to be quick, I better be more rational. But a lot of people don't care. They don't care about money. They just say, this is my house and I want to have it as I want. And I don't care about if I'm blowing the price further than the rest of the houses around the street.
Yeah.
They don't care. So, and sometimes, like, I'm happy to work with these people, like.
Yeah, it's easier.
Not everything's about money,
It's
like,
easier. Yeah, it's easier also from your side. In construction, what every client needs to hear about construction cost.
Before you get to the cost, everything is about planning. Not planning to the local authorities. It's planning ahead of construction. For that, you need design. You need planning with the local authorities to get your permissions, cost, and construction. If you don't have any of these four elements, for sure something's going to go wrong. Because a lot of people just get the builder, I just want to do a bathroom here, and they leave the responsibility to the contractor. And the contractors are not designers, so then the mistake happen. Oh, why did you put the wall there? Or why did you put the basin there? Or why did you choose the mirror? Then a lot of people are not aware about the planning process in the UK, and then they start changing windows without asking, and damaging historical properties. And then, like the design, like if you go through this process, design, planning, cost, construction, most likely you're going to have a successful outcome. And most likely you will be within budget and within time.
How long is the timeline from, let's say, first discussion about I want to do, let's say, an extension till getting the design surveys done and planning approved, ready for construction?
Yeah, I mean,
realistically,
it depends
average.
of the size of the project. I mean, I'm working in projects that they've been running for 2-3 years.
Just to get to the construction.
Just to get to the construction. Because the planning process is quite antique or archaic. Just to give an example, in China, in Beijing, they built the biggest airport in the planet from design to construction in 4 years. Terminal 5 here in Heathrow took 20 years. So that shows you
but that's
all these restrictions.
It's operational, it's active, it's live, it's
But we're talking about the biggest airport in the planet in 4 years from design conception to construction. Here, Terminal 5, it took 20 years. So the planning process could delay everything. Also, if you are not diligent and you don't have the 4 elements that I just mentioned, most likely it's going to take longer. But I think a small project in London, a rear extension, side extension, loft extension, or a renovation, including permissions, could take between 4 to 8 to a year. 4 months, 8 months, a year. According to the local authorities, it takes between 8 to 13 weeks. The design process for a small project, it could be couple of months.
Yeah.
So we're talking already about 5 months, and then construction another 5 months. So 10 months to a year for extensions and renovations.
And so what happens when architects design a beautiful concept but doesn't understand how it actually is built?
Then there are a lot of mistakes. And then you see them on site. You start seeing like wonky things, or you don't understand the details, or the builder spent delays because the builders don't understand how to build it. Maybe there are not the right specifications. Builders price what they can understand, but if there are crazy details that are not properly specified, by the time the contractor reach that stage when they need to build that detail that has not been, or that is over designed, and they have been an oversight, then is when he said, "Oh, but this is not included because I never saw this."
Yeah.
And
And like
when it
you said, over designing is like you can overdo it as well. Yeah.
I think
You
once
could
again,
underdo it, you could overdo it.
once again, it's like you need to understand your client's budget, and sometimes clients don't want to tell you how much do they want to spend. Like, oh, how much they want you to tell them first. But nowadays with AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever you use, it's very easy. You just get, and the prices in London are quite straightforward. Like £2,000-3,000 per square meter, basic, and you can go up to 5 or 10 or 15,000 pounds per square meter, depending if you're high end.
Yeah, finishes. Yeah.
So you go to see a property that is 100 square meters, you know that that's going to be above 200,000 pounds for sure.
Yeah.
So those are the prices, 2,000-3,000 pounds, kind of standard.
What is the biggest mistake that homeowners make before starting renovation or extension?
I go back to the 4 steps: getting a design, getting all the paperwork ready for permission, cost, and a good contractor. Sometimes cheap means expensive. Sometimes people go like for the cheaper contractor. They don't check their background, and things takes longer, and there are a lot of mistakes, and things need to be redone.
So how many projects have you seen or come across where things needs to be redone because the builder did not follow the building regulations or did something
It
wrong?
happens quite often. We get like emergency calls, like the planners came and there's a breach of policies, or builders doing things wrong. It happens all the time, to be honest with you. Like last week, we were working in a project in Wimbledon, a big house, and our client chose a very bad contractor, and I calculated that the damage is going to be quite expensive. That they've done it very badly. We've been in other cases where one that it was crazy happened last year. The contractor that the client chose because it was cheap, he printed a structural drawing and he measured the drawing with a measuring tape, and he did a set out of the structure, measuring from a printing, who knows which scale. With a measuring tape, he measured and he built the structure based on that.
Wow.
And then my client called me and said, like, "Oh, Armando, a head need to be cut out. Like which head is going to roll?" And the first is the architect. Whose fault? Why the column is here? The architect. But then when you go to the architecture, you see that our drawings are correct. They have proper dimensions. And then who is the next head that's going to be, cut? The engineer. And then you check that the engineer drawings are correct, and there are notes that says, these need to be read with the architectural drawings, or don't measure from these drawings. The dimensions specified are the ones that need to be taken into account. And then people just ignore that. Because they don't have experience or because they are cheap. But it was a massive mistake, so they had to knock down the structure, rebuild it, and the contractor had to pay.
And did the contractor pay or just went
They
broke?
paid, yes, they paid, because early the first, as I said, is the architect. oh, this is architect fault.
Yeah, but that's a lucky outcome where the contractor
As
paid, because
soon
you
as-
have cowboy builders and they go broke and they continue
yeah,
working
well, you know, like obviously
under different names.
there's it's always a bit stressful when you submit a package of drawings and you hand it over, and then someone else is building it and you're not involved at all, because these things could happen. That's why all our drawings need to have a lot of notes, trying to protect ourselves from those kind of piracy
Yeah.
that are pirates. So the fact that there's a note there that says, do not use this drawing for measured, you know, these drawings need to be read together with the structural engineer drawings, then we are safe. But yeah, people don't realize that sometimes going cheap means it's going to be more expensive, because
Yeah.
how much was that for that client, you know, who probably was living in a construction site or was renting, the whole thing just delayed. The contractor had to pay a fortune just making a phone call, asking a question. I mean, where is your common sense to actually go and measure a drawing with a measuring tape?
Understandably, if I'm doing it first time, and how many times people buy personal houses or extend or renovate their personal house, maybe once in a lifetime. Those who are doing it regularly, maybe that's like a business or developer.
Yes.
That's a different mindset.
Yes, yeah, of
But
course.
those who do it first time, they go like, okay, well, of course, I don't understand what that means, but this is cheaper and this is more expensive. Then the cheaper looks more appealing. And then it's all about the education and explaining people. And that's why also we do this podcast, when people can land on a video and actually see the ins and outs, because we had actually a builder before. Now we are with an architect. And I've invited one of the property developers where he can share his experience just as from that kind of perspective, because it all comes together and then people live there.
Yes.
You know, because I think it's valuable insight from all sides, because when we look only from our side, we go, that's the bad guy. When trying to understand the construction costs, it is architect or the builder who comes first.
Most of the architects have no clue about cost. That's a reality everywhere, because a lot of architects are more into their designs. So you have a quantity surveyor that could help. You know, like sometimes you get an external organization or company to do an evaluation based on the architectural drawings and the specifications, and they give you a price. But most of the contractor, for the scale of works that we work currently, any contractor should be able to give you a proper quote as long as there is a comprehensive package.
Previous guest, he said this. He said, if you want to find out the costs, go out to builders, ask some 3 builders, get some quotes.
Yes.
Then you're going to know what are the prices.
Correct.
If you are unsure, go to quantity surveyor, pay them £1,000 or how much they charge.
Exactly.
And then look at that. If the quantity surveyor gave, let's say, one number, but the builders is completely below the number, you know they are giving unrealistic quotes.
Yes.
And there'll be extra charges, and there are going to be things that they don't know or they haven't counted in, and there were going to be frustration. So
Yes.
therefore, gather some quotes, have the quantity survey if you want to check it, then
Yeah.
that's the average number that you have to work around, and then you can pick a choose.
Yeah, I think it's very important, you know, when I'm saying about having a comprehensive package, it means that you have a good set of drawings with structural design, you have a good set of architectural drawings developed for construction with the specifications and building regulations and everything. And then most of the time, the architect also prepare a scope of work for the contractor. And the more information that you give to the contractor, the more accurate the quotations will be. And also in the tender process of finding who is going to be the contractor, you can test the water with maybe 2 or 3 contractors. And then as long as they are pricing and you can compare pears with pears and apples with apples, is fine. The difficulties are when you have a very basic set of drawings or a basic design coming just for planning, and people think this is enough to get a quote from.
Yeah.
You can get a ballpark figure with because the design that you do for planning are diagrams. You cannot build with that. A lot of people build with that. They think, you have an idea how many times I get projects and then they cut us at planning permission. Then, oh, we don't need you anymore. We can build with this. I said, well, okay, good luck. And then if you it's better to spend money at the first stage in paper because it is cheaper to delete a line in CAD than knocking down a wall in a construction site. So the project is key. And that's why I say planning and not planning permission. It's just like planning ahead, get everything ready, get your prices accurately, get 2 or 3 contractors to price so you can actually see. But they need to price with the same information, not assumptions.
This is a very good what you said. I have some clients as well who come to me and say, look, we need to have a measure building survey. And I say, yeah, well, definitely we can help you out and we can do it. And they say, well, there's like very competitive prices coming in and quotes. And I say, well, I completely understand. You can find someone who's going to do a measure building survey, £350.
Yes.
You can find. Because see, the thing is, for planning, it is an illustration.
Yes.
It is for illustrative purposes.
Yes.
But the moment when you have to build or do the building regulations, then you need to do another survey, and then you need to spend the time again but pay again. So it's like when we give the set of drawings, then these drawings you can do planning, you can do construction, you can do the interior design, and you can then do the building regs. You can then use as you see fit.
Yeah.
But if the goal for someone is, like you said, get the planning and then that's it, it's done. Well, then you need to find whoever will going to be the cheapest price, because there is nothing to do with the accuracy.
Yeah.
It's just like getting the thing over the line. But if you want to have it built and avoid the time and the costs after that, we're going to be like doing another set of drawings and then redoing, or maybe like you said, taking down the wall, that actually it's easier just to take down the line on the drawing.
Yes.
Then that's an outcome.
It happened recently. This client said, "Oh, do you think I need a survey?" I said, "Yes." I said, "But I have a friend who takes photos for a state agent, and then they do these basic drawings." And I said, "Look, those drawings are very basic." And I took one of your packages and I said, "Send this to your friend. If they can do this, exactly what is there in this set of drawings, I'm happy. If not, no." And then he came and said, "Let's go for space survey."
Why did you decided to work with Space Survey?
Well, we met in a property networking event, and I remember you did a presentation. And first of all, I was very impressed with your presentation and your charisma, and you looked and sounded very professional. Back then, I was using a surveyor, and it was taking forever. He was never available. I think they were not using the latest technology, so I could see some things were not accurate. So I was not happy, but I didn't have too many choices. So I actually saw your presentation and I said, "Oh, I'm just gonna, let's give it a try." And then I was very impressed with the quality of the work, your time frame. You were very proactive. We got what you offered. Your prices were very competitive, and I said, and then since then, we've done,
multiple,
several projects, and I don't even look around for someone else or anything. And every time that a client comes with, "Oh, we did this survey," I said, "I don't trust them."
Yeah. Well, you can work with that, but then you need to go and cross-check it, because the only way for you to know whether that's good or no is if you take the drawings, go to the site, and then remeasure everything. But then it's doing the same job.
Yeah, I always say if it is for conceptual purposes, it's fine. But if you want to push this to construction, we will put notes in our project, like we are not responsible for this survey, because there will be a mistake. I think this is what happened with this project that I was telling you, that the contractor measured from a drawing with a measuring tape in a construction site, 3 little lines in a measuring tape is 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters is this.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the mistake. In a paper, it could feel like a hair, but on site is a big mistake, and it could ruin the whole thing and compromise the structure. So that's why it's very important to start with a very good survey and accurate, because as I said, small line and cut on site is expensive,
Yeah.
and it could create a lot of damage.
So talking about London in general, like London is getting more expensive and like the space is becoming more smaller. So is micro living a better way of living here, or what's the solution to the limited space we have?
Well, look, London is quite specific because, London has the green belt that goes all around London, and it's a protected area that means that London cannot grow more horizontally, which means that London needs to grow vertically. So,
Become like Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yes,
Boxes.
exactly.
Have you seen those
Yeah,
flats?
yeah, of course.
Where people have like 16 boxes in one bedroom flat?
Probably we're heading to something like that in the future. Well, first of all, because it's expensive. Second of all, there's not much space left, unless they take over the green belt. But obviously, the green belt is a protected area because it's green. It's kind of the fresh air. It's a recreational space, and it's very difficult to build there. But if they open that, London is going to grow. London has grown in the last 10 years. Now we're at 10 million inhabitants in London, and there's a huge demand for properties. There's a shortage of around 500,000 properties just in London. So that's why, we walk around this building and we see all these towers, and you say, who the hell is going to buy that?
Yeah.
They're going to be empty. No, but they're not. They're going to be they're going to be sold, and probably to investors who are renting out and kicking people out of the city. Luckily, London has an amazing infrastructure and transport. So a lot of people live in the outskirts, and they move, they can be in Waterloo in half an hour, in Euston, King's Cross, like it's just very well connected. So that allows you to maybe live a bit further, but still be in central London very quick.
They made the roads smaller and more bike lanes.
I know, more more taxes for
restrictions.
cars, more fines. That London makes
It's crazy.
1 billion
It's
a
crazy.
year in fines. I have a budget just for fines per month.
Do you know that I have two friends now, both of them work in construction, who have lost their license because of the 20 miles per hour
I know,
rules?
yeah, I know.
Because they say, oh, I looked somewhere, I thought about something, and it's like the speed is like 26 miles per hour, and you get a picture, and then you get points, and then suspended for half a year.
I got a fine. I was sent to do a course. I got a speed ticket for going at 24 miles per hour in a 20 miles per hour road. I have to do a training, speed behavior training for going at 24 miles per hour. It's a business. Just London make 1 billion with B for brother. 1 billion in fines.
Fines, yeah.
So yeah, they don't want cars here. Obviously, it's a great business.
That's why I cycled to this podcast.
Yeah. No, it's better to cycle. It's nice,
work is work, trade is trade. You need to take tools. You cannot cycle.
Central London, if you go with a car to Central London, you need to pay a congestion charge, £18. Ultra low emission zone, another 12 or 13 pounds, plus parking, £11 per hour. You go to a cinema in Covent Garden, and if you go with your car, you be ready to pay £50 just to get there with your car.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go by tube or public transport, you pay £3.50, £4.
When the Waymo taxis were going to come in, how they were going to change the dynamics of traveling around London, that will be interesting.
Well, it is crazy because, for example, I live in North London, and I do projects all around. And if I travel from North London to Wimbledon in Southwest, it takes me 1 hour and 40 minutes, and it's 10 miles. Like 10 miles in another country is literally 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In London takes 1 hour and 40 minutes because the roads, they're making it more difficult. And, once again, I think the option in London is just to go micro. Young students or young professionals, there's no chance they can make money enough to be in big houses with gardens. It is about how to live smart and compact.
Yeah.
And we are, like Hong Kong, like high density cities with the small properties. And we are heading there. And then you see Victorian houses or Georgian or whatever the times where they were built, they're being split into 3, 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, and then less family houses. Only the council are doing a great effort to keep a lot of these houses for family, because you need a balance. You don't want to convert a house all the street to be HMOs. You
Yeah.
know, like you don't want to have a street full of HMOs. So that there are a lot of policies changing because that's where we're heading to.
We
Yeah, I
see
mean,
that
look,
politics, people are angry and are happy about situations. They want to changes, and that's why you see this reform party coming in like very strong, because it's like people just like, okay, that's something different, and whatever we were doing, we just need something different. Whatever they are gonna do, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's like, okay, that's a change. We need that.
Yeah.
Let's go. And so this is where we see the general mood of people living here.
yeah,
And as well, we can see it's just we have more people coming in from in the country. We have more people coming into the city because everyone wants to be in a city where there's business and where's
for
work,
these opportunities.
of
Yes,
course. And that's why I came to London, not to some kind of a village and you
course.
and other
Yeah,
people,
yeah, of course.
because we come for work. And then that means it drives the demand for living, and that means even a small space we're gonna go. And no matter how small it was going to be, it was just going to go.
There's something interesting that that happened after COVID. That only during the lockdowns, we had to literally be completely locked inside our houses, and a lot of people didn't have outdoor spaces. So there's a huge demand now for when you're
Because people can work remotely.
people can work
Before
remotely.
they couldn't.
They're having a change into people's behavior, going to the offices, or they want to have their own office at home. They need to have an outdoor space. They want to have like their meditation space, like all these things, because people are spending more time at home than they used to. And then the challenge is like, how do you manage to give all these spaces when the square meter of properties are more expensive? Like everything is shrinking, give them everything. So it's just having flexible spaces.
Someone new, excited about architecture, he wants to go in, study architecture. It's like, what is that one advice that from all your years of experience that you're going to give to them?
Learn finance. Learn finance. I think it's very important that to educate yourself in business, because at the end of the day, you're doing business. Even if you can be a great designer, but if you don't know how to sell yourself, or you don't know anything about business or finance, you won't succeed. So you need to learn about how to sell yourself, how to sell your products, and most importantly, finance.
So that's marketing, that's sales, and then it's architecture.
Yeah.
The student loans is going out of hands. People take the student loan, go study, let's say, architecture, and then they keep working, but they cannot pay off the loan, and the loan is skyrocketing. It's like, what is your take on this as actually a person who runs an architectural company? How important is the university degree for someone to do or to be an architect?
I mean, it's an investment. The thing is, like, prices are going, crazy with all these student loans, and like, most likely you never like. I think there's a report that says that I think a huge percentage of people never ended up paying their whole their student loan, because I think at the age of 60, it
expires.
cancels. It's literally it goes away. So people try to go and pay it very slowly, and then by the age of 60, which is all your whole life, and then the debt disappears. I think, like, if you need to get a debt, you either get it to invest on yourself or to invest in something that is going to make you, wealthier.
But is the return on investment worth it? Like taking out the loan, getting the university degree in architecture, and then saying like, I'm gonna build my architectural practice, or like get the job, and then
If you get a job, probably not. If you get a job, probably not. It'll take very long time. I think, the money that is spent, when you get these debts, and then you get a bit of extra cash that you could pay the loan, you don't want to pay the loan, because it's like, it's more satisfactory to go and buy something for yourself, or to satisfy yourself with something. If you pay the loan, you don't feel anything. It's not that you are excited. Oh, so exciting! I'm paying my debt. It's passive income for the governments. It's passive income for them. It's just like we are passive income. If you are working in a company, you are passive income.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they take a lot of your taxes. You're not managing your taxes efficiently. They just get a cut. You don't even know where the money goes, and I think that is convenient for the big boss.
So would you say education or a skill?
No, education, because the skills, you need to work hard in your skill. Like if you think about all these successful entrepreneurs or athletes, it's not about, you can have the skill, but if you don't educate yourself and you don't put the effort, the skill is literally nothing. I have met throughout the years very talented people, but without the drive. And then who are the ones who succeed? The one that have the whole package, the one that understand that you need to learn, you need to uh, polish your skills with hard work or with education.
But would that not be called knowledge but not understanding? Because knowledge and understanding is different things. Knowledge is like, I know something, but if I don't apply it, I don't understand it, because if I understand it, then I apply. Knowledge, understanding, and skill, 80% is psychology, 20% is mechanics. So we all know how to lose weight, but why do we have so many people overweight?
Yeah.
It's not the knowledge, is like lack of knowledge, the lack of applying the knowledge to get to the result, which is like actually the understanding of it.
Yes, I mean discipline. I think you need to understand that it's very key to have discipline for whatever you want to achieve. Like without discipline, you can have the best skill ever. You can be the most talented artist in the world, architect or engineer or whatever, doctor. But if you don't have the consistency and the discipline, how far can you get?
What do you think the future holds for a property industry now, 2026, 2028?
Well, I think they are. I always think that in these moments where things get a bit complicated financially or worldwide, is when the opportunities come. I think it's a good time for search for opportunities. They like during the good times, everyone is doing the same thing, but during the bad times, people are worried about like, oh, it's a bad time. They worry too much about that, and they don't see that it's the best time to invest, to find opportunities. There are so many opportunities out there. There's apparently there's $1 trillion passing from hand to hand daily. So you need to put the hand in the right place, and it's not gonna be in your home watching, scrolling Instagram. So, and I think in these times where things are a little bit, there's a lot of uncertainty and prices are going up and inflation and interest rates, there is when the opportunities come.
Getting out there, be visible, talk
Expose
to
yourself,
people,
expose yourself. Yeah, expose yourself. I think the more you expose yourself, the best. Either social media or socially or physically, whatever works for you.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah.
the future is bright. The future is
Yeah.
bright, even in the dark moments.
Even if there is wars, people still want to get back to normal. They still want to live. They still want to have peace. Even in the economical downturns, people still want to spend time together with their loved ones. They still want to go to holidays. Whether there was a COVID, still people want. And so the drive never stops. The circumstances come and go. We may have a slower season or faster season where things flourish and grow, but the desire never stops, and that means whatever the season we are, we'll always come back to it, and it's just the balance.
Yeah, cycles.
It's just a cycle.
So I think in construction there are kind of two massive deadlines in the construction sector, which are summer and Christmas.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to have everything ready for summer, and everyone wants to have everything ready for Christmas. So those are at least for what we do, and we know that summer and Christmas are the two times of the year where, well, let's say August and December, to be more specific, when everyone goes on holidays because the kids are on holidays. Christmas, everything's shut down, and then it's the moment where everyone want to have everything ready before those breaks.
people want to get ready their homes for the summer. They want extend maybe the rear, maybe loft, maybe do something else, maybe in a garden, some kind of a design, or maybe create own studio where they can work from home or anything else. Can you tell people where they can reach you? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, we are Craft Design. You can Google Craft Design and we will show up there. Our website is www.craftdesign.co.uk. You can find us on Instagram as well. Craft Design London, that's our Instagram. We are currently, we are working in a marketing strategy. We are relaunching our brand, our website. And then, so if you need any consultancy, everything related with property, construction, planning, cost, material, suppliers, just feel free to get in touch. We are here to help and to achieve and to help you to succeed in your dreams and your visions in the property world.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Armando. Yeah.